Hi everybody, my name is Mike Obsatz and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about what it means to be a mature person. I've written a piece called Oh Grow Up, 10 Tasks for Mature Wholeness. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up on a farm in New Jersey and ended up going to Brandeis University and University of Chicago on scholarships, where I met the most fascinating and incredible people who taught me about claiming my whole self. And that was just beautiful. Maslow was my first psychology teacher. I ended up teaching at Macalester College in St. Paul for 40 years in the areas of education and sociology. And in all of my classes, I tried to convey to people the importance of maturity, of loving themselves, and of being whole people. At the University of Chicago, I had students of Carl Rogers who talked about the power of listening, the power of being with somebody, and the incredible complexity of the person and how beautiful that is. So what I want to convey to you today is I think a lot of the world's problems come because people are acting out of immaturity rather than maturity. They're stuck in some kind of ego, narcissistic state where they're not open to their own wholeness, and therefore they're not open to the wholeness of other people. And that creates tension and frustration and limits capabilities and activities that go on. So if we want to reach a higher level of relating to each other and really being there for each other, we also have to be there for ourselves. So in Oh Grow Up, we have 10 tasks for mature wholeness. I want to say something else about my life. In being a therapist for 30 years, writing books, being an author, a filmmaker, a lot of what I've focused on is the beauty of boys, the beauty of girls, the beauty of men, the beauty of women, how incredible people are, and really appreciating people for their depth and their complexity and their wholeness. And that makes life richer and more beautiful. And in a lot of ways, it allows me to be a channel for something greater than myself and really care about and love the planet, the people in it, the environment, the whole ecosystem, and really have respect for the dignity of all. I think it's the answer to all the suffering, all the isms, including sexism and heterosexism and racism and ableism and ageism and heterosexism and all of the things that divide us. Because deep down, we have one heart and we have one collective consciousness. So here are the 10 tasks for mature wholeness. And we could talk about them for days, but I'll give you a little bit of a summary. The first step is to start to unhook from your biological or adopted family's definition of who you are and who you should be. Very often we grow up in families where we are scripted to be a certain way. We're scripted to be intelligent or a hero or a scapegoat or a messed up person or whatever. And we are shamed and abandoned and neglected, and we experience emotional abandonment, meaning that we are not necessarily appreciated for the complexity of who we are. This biological family's definition serves a purpose for the adults in the family, but it doesn't serve our purpose as of coming into our wholeness. So we have to unhook from that and realize that whatever we needed to do to survive in our families does not necessarily define who we are, because we're more than that. So it means not letting old ideas about you control your life, and that would include your own old ideas too about yourself. So some of the books on this are The Drama of the Gifted Child by Alice Miller, Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw, Healing the Child Within by Whitfield. These are books all about letting go of shame, growing into one's whole self. So getting rid of the definition is the first step. The second one is letting go of defenses that you needed as a child which no longer serve you. It's interesting, we come up with ways of surviving. So we may become the jokester in the family as a way to survive. We may watch lots of video games and leave the family in order to survive. We may act out in certain ways in order to survive. So these defenses that were not totally who we are, but our way of coping, did get us through very challenging situations. And when we're thrust into the world and we have to pretend to get along and go along with a system that is hierarchical, competitive, and sometimes demeaning to some people, we also have to figure out how to navigate that. So part of growing up into maturity is strategizing how to cope and survive in a dysfunctional world with maintaining as much of your inner wholeness as you can. Very interesting idea that you're doing both those things at the same time. You're strategizing how to survive and you're acting on it, but you're also not losing sight of who you really are. And you can be who you really are in safe situations with people you really trust. So we bless those defenses. We realize we needed them, but we also learn that we can be our whole selves when we're around people that we can trust completely. A really good book about trust is Yaela Van Sant's book called Trust. We trust ourselves, we trust life, we trust spirit in whatever way we want to look at that, and we trust selected others who have shown that they're worthy of our trust. Another task, the third one, is to unhook from cultural pressures to define your worth by doing and achieving, and suppressing your own needs, feelings, desires, hopes, and dreams. In other words, challenge the assumptions about who you are supposed to be as a man or a woman. We have a culture of never enough, you're never this enough or that enough. We have an idea of what a real man is supposed to be, what a real woman is supposed to be, and somehow we're more than any of that. We are enough. Brene Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection, says our imperfections are beautiful and there are blessings in the imperfections themselves. Ann Wilson Schaaf has a book called When Society Becomes an Addict, and she's talking a lot about how in an addictive society, a society that believes that you have to achieve more than other people, compare yourself to others, and receive external validation, you can lose your true sense of meaning and worth in belief in yourself. So external validation versus internal validation. Internal validation is loving yourself for who you are, knowing your gifts and talents, accepting your imperfections, working on the things you want to work on. So number 4 is finding your inner beauty and wholeness. And that is discover what your spiritual purpose is, why you're here on this earth, and what you're called to do. And that can change over time. You can be called to do something for a while and then called to do something else. And the question is, well, who's calling me? And part of it is an inner voice. Part of it is a spiritual voice beyond yourself that is calling you to be something and do something. The world is filled with suffering, loneliness, hurt, disappointment, and there's a tremendous need to be something in the world to help people. First of all, people need to feel safe. They also need to be fed and clothed and housed. So there's something that we can do to make the world better for certain people. And we have to figure out who that target audience is and do something about it. But it comes out of finding your inner beauty and wholeness. So once you know who you are, that's the first step. The next step is, okay, how do I use my gifts in a way that make life on earth better for other people? So when I'm gone, things are a little better for some people than they were before I got here. Number 5 is letting go of abusive and controlling people. There are people around who operate from not their highest selves, but more like they want their way, they want to be in control, they have a need to dominate. They're living in a kind of empire consciousness where they're trying to assert their own way and have it be the only way. And I think when you're around abusive and controlling people, it creates tension and it creates frustration. So you have to limit your time around people who try to tell you who you are, tell you what to do all the time. Now you're going to work for somebody and they're going to, in some ways, tell you what to do as part of your job. That's different than what we're talking about. We're talking more about people who would say, don't say that, that's not the right thing to say. Or, you know, you're always acting like this. Why are you acting like this? Participate in your new community with love, compassion, and positive energy. So part of letting go of abusive and controlling people is creating a new spiritual family. A new family that you create of people who you care about, who love and support you for who you are, and what you believe in, and how you live your life. And finding a supportive, nurturing, loving community takes work. And you have to meet a lot of people. And some of those people will fit, some of those people you try, and maybe they don't fit. And it's okay to have people come and go in your life. But hold on to the ones who are really loving, caring, and compassionate, and also who want you to be your whole self. Number 6 is finding a strategy for making enough money so you can live. I do think that we have to figure out a way to survive in a grown-up world. And we have to make money in order to have food and in order to have a place to live and so on. So there has to be some way to maximize your skills and talents that will make you money. Now you can do two things. You can have a day job and also do everything you love outside of your job. Or you can have a day job which allows you to do all the things you love. So for some people, they're fortunate enough to combine both of those into the way they work and get paid. For other people, they may have to do some kind of work. But no matter what kind of work you do, you always have the opportunity to show kindness, generosity, and listen to the people around you. It's okay to have feelings and to vent your feelings, but it's very important to do it in safe places. Places where you will not be hurt, dominated, controlled, or penalized for having these feelings. And this goes along with dedicate your life to creating more love and peace in the world. Finding a passion and a cause, do something to make the world better. Pick an area, pick a target group of people and say, I'm going to make the world better in some way. And I think you can do that in subtle ways, and you can do that in very obvious ways. But the goal is not to necessarily get attention for doing it, or get appreciated for doing it, but just know in your heart that you're doing something of meaning. And your meaning comes from love. It does not come from owning things. It does not come from proving yourself. Meaning comes from the kind of connection you can develop with people you care about and who are worthy of love, because everyone is worthy of love. People may do bad behaviors, but deep inside they're worthy of love. And somehow they got into doing their bad behaviors because they were taught bad messages about life. So one of the goals is to put out the true messages about life, the good messages about life, so that people will see you as an example of love and compassion. Books about this, creating more love and peace in the world, would include books by Ruiz, The 4 Agreements, and by Rico, David Rico, The 5 Things We Cannot Change. It's really challenging in life to figure out what can I do something about and what do I have to let go of. What is mine to do? what is not mine to do? If you're spiritual, what is Spirit's to do through me? What does that look like? And really write about it. Think about it, write about it, contemplate about it. Think about, what are my unique gifts? So everybody's main purpose is to create more love, harmony, peace, and joy in the world. My unique purpose is, given my skills, my gifts, my talents, how do I do it in my unique way? So those two books are really helpful. Number 8 is appreciate your body, your physical and sexual self. And that means eat well, take care of your body, make good food choices, and use your sexuality in ways that enhance your life and the lives of others. In other words, do not disrespect anybody else, and have clear boundaries about your sexuality. That means, operate in a way that uses it with thought and care and compassion. If you have one sexual partner, be respectful and ask for what you want. Work to create harmony and mutual sharing in your sexual interaction with your partner. And in general, watch your language and thoughts about sexuality. We have made a whole bunch of sort of negative ideas about, we have dirty jokes and we have sexual words that have negative connotations. And I think we need to pay attention and not use those words. We have to accept people from a variety of sexual orientations and just say, I guess that's who they are. Okay. And how can they live it as full life as possible, being who they are? Whether it's binary, transgender, gay, straight, just to respect who they are and appreciate that they're on their journey just like you're on your journey. Number 9 is, if you have children, love and guide them, but as they get older, realize that you cannot control their lives. I think one of the most important things for parents is to give children gifts and tools so that they will be able to cope in a world that doesn't always appreciate people, doesn't always appreciate love, and doesn't always show respect. A very good book about this, a very good resource, is Barbara Coloroso's book, Kids Are Worth It. She talks about 3 kinds of families. The backbone family is the healthy family, where you teach kids to develop self-discipline, accountability, and compassion. The jellyfish family is where kids just do whatever they want. And the brick wall family is, you say, do it because I told you, but you never really give them reasons for why they should act a certain way. And you also act as if you have all the answers. So the backbone family is the way to raise children, where you talk about things and you talk about process. So one of the things about Living in Process by Ann Wilson Schaaf, another book by Ann Wilson Schaaf, is you appreciate the beauty of every day, the splendor of nature, the joy of waking up in the morning, the beauty of other people in your life who care about you. And also you appreciate that not everybody has all the comforts and benefits that you have. Therefore, you try to do something about that in whatever way you can and ease suffering. The final task that is really important is to live fully, play, and be spontaneous. Know that life is a miracle to be cherished and enjoyed. Everything changes and ends, and we will all transition into a different realm. So don't sweat the small stuff. Try to have gratitude. Make a gratitude list of all the good in your life, all the blessings that you have. And whatever your spirituality is, try to create a positive way of living it with respect for people who may have different ideas about it. also you don't have to defend it and say it's the truth, because it is your truth, and that is what matters. The purpose of growing up into maturity is no matter what you do, you are bringing your best self into every situation that you're in. And you're loving the people around you. And you're caring for the earth. And you're taking it all seriously. And you want there to be peace and love. So therefore, we have to move beyond the boundaries of thinking, well, I'm this and you're that. Richard Rohr has a beautiful way of looking at things. He says Richard Rohr is a Franciscan friar who has written many books, and one of the things he talks about is my story, your story, and the story, which is my journey, your journey, and the journey. And my journey is my unique way of being in the world, and my story is my interpretation of that journey and how I talk about myself. Our story very often is linked to being part of a group, a subgroup, like a nation or a community or a religion or a political party, and that story becomes sort of stilted and limited because it is seeing things from only one perspective. The story is the actual truth of our interconnectedness, our oneness with all of creation. And the story is the place to get to. Living in the story and seeing the beauty of all of it. And even though you may be male, not just say, well, that's what I am, and men are this and men are that. Just say, some men are this or that, but men are part of the human community, just like women are part of the human community, and children are part of the human community. And so the human community is part of a larger community, and try to take the larger view. So when we start living the story and the journey, then we live in maturity and wholeness, and then we work together to create a world that has dignity, respect, and compassion for all of creation. Thank you very much.